Hello, good evening, good Friday, and thank you for being a part of the show this 23rd day of January, the day before, the calm before the storm, literally Winter Storm Fern, will be bearing down on Kentucky by tomorrow morning, and we will then start to see just exactly what models, what computers, what predictions are going to fall in line. They've all gotten a little more mainstream and in more concert, but still, no one can say for sure what Mother Nature will bring. Jimmy Neal Caldwell, our meteorologist from McGoffin County, can tell us what his thoughts are, and he will in just a few moments. And we actually sat down and talked about a few other things earlier today. Nice interview. The end subject, a little bit on the serious side, of course, when we were talking about snow and ice totals. But we'll have Jimmy Neal with us in just a few seconds. I've got a report of a McGoffin County mother and son being arrested in Johnson County. Started off as shoplifting, and then the manager of the store said that the vehicle they were in had tried to run them over. We'll talk about that, and most everything else will be weather related tonight. I'm going to tell you right now, out and ahead of things, the precipitation in form and how much and where, we're just going to have to literally wait and see, as is always the case with the weather. But what really concerns me tonight is that the temperatures that I had in the forecast 24 hours ago for after Winter Storm Fern have taken an even more serious turn. For the 7-day forecast, we've got one day of 33 degrees. That's Sunday. The rest, daytime highs for 7 days are 18 to 24 degrees. Nighttime lows, the highest, will be Saturday night, tomorrow night at 14. And the rest right now sit currently between a real hard -7 and 10 degrees for the rest of your 7-day. Yesterday it was brutal temperature-wise. Today it's just hard to fathom. It is going to be a very tough week next week after whatever we get from Winter Storm Fern. Again, in more detail in just a few moments. We'll talk about that and with Mr. Jimmy Neal Caldwell. Right now, let's go to a police report out of Paintsville from the Paintsville Police Department. It was yesterday that they were dispatched to the Dollar General store in question, where the complaint came in that there were two people, a male and a female. The female, the operator of a vehicle that reportedly tried to run over the manager at the Dollar General after they had been caught shoplifting. It was just before 6 o'clock last night, the Dollar General on Euclid, I think it was, that Paintsville PD was dispatched to the Dollar General for a shoplifting complaint. Store personnel called police and 911 saying there were two people, a man and a woman, inside the store, had been inside the store, and the woman who was behind the wheel of the vehicle tried to run over the manager of the store. The manager telling authorities that while they were inside, they took several items, stuffing them into the female's purse, the male stuffing them into his pants. And after they left the store, after allegedly nearly running over the manager in the vehicle was found and police made a traffic stop. And once backup arrived, they started to question. They found many of the items that the Dollar General personnel had alleged had been stolen. And they received a written statement from personnel at the store as well, and charged with wanton endangerment in the 2nd degree and theft by unlawful taking. Shoplifting was Connie Ann Arnett of Sagersville. Her son, Donnie Whitey Arnett, was charged with theft by unlawful taking, shoplifting, and both taken to the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center. I know that the female was released on a $1,000 bond. I'm unsure of the bond status of the male. I'll be right back.
Johnson Central High School stands alone in providing the most college and career programs of study in one building throughout the entire state of Kentucky. This includes pathways in everything from the medical field to engineering, telemedia, welding, agriculture, and even aviation. And that's just to name a few of the 32 different choices. Work has also been started on a brand new state-of-the-art high school. So now is the time for your child to experience the power of opportunities in Johnson County School.
A new year often means new inspirations, new goals, a new focus on your health and well-being, and nowhere is that more important than Fraser's Prater Drugstore. From healthy resolutions to a fresh start without smoking, to a fresh batch of cookies just in from the daily bread, to some incredible comfort food at the counter. Step in and let us remind you why we'll always be your oldest hometown pharmacy. Fraser's Prater Drugstore, downtown Sagersville. It's a new year with new deals at Conley Tire in Staffordsville, like $100 back on new sets of Goodyears through February the 28th, and other specials on East Kentucky's best in-stock tire inventory. Conley's, your tire, wheel, and auto repair and maintenance HQ since 1982. In Staffordsville or at conleytire.net. For whatever reason, if your working days are over, don't do anything before you meet Grover. Social Security, disability, SSI, work injuries, wear and tear, and hearing loss. 888-9-GROVER.
I love working in the coal mines, even though it was hard work. But if you suspect you have black lung, you can't work anymore. You'll find out that filing for benefits is hard too. I had friends who give up after years of trying. If it hadn't been for Big Sandy Healthcare, I wouldn't even try myself. If you think you have black lung, call Big Sandy Healthcare and get the help you deserve.
One name, one call, one ultimate solution to your heating and cooling, sales, 24-hour service, and installation for home, commercial, boilers, chillers, and VRF systems. With over 15 years of experience and now based right here in the viewing area, Ultimate Air, 496-6651.
Atrial fibrillation is one of the more common rhythms we see.
AFib is an arrhythmia of the heart where the top part of the heart is beating erratically and out of sync with the bottom part of the heart.
The electrophysiology service is made up of a team of healthcare providers, and that includes an electrophysiology lab where we're able to do procedures to help repair heart rhythm problems. When a patient becomes heart rhythm free, it can really restore their life.
ARH, more for Appalachia.
Buffalo for me, bonsai for you.
Not a sauce guy.
Famous last words.
Not a napkin guy either.
Try new famous sauce with Lee's Saucy Sampler. Only at Lee's. Famous for a reason.
Jimmy Neal Caldwell and myself sat down via the internet and had a nice little interview a few moments ago about much more than the weather. But the weather, of course, being the final note that we would wrap up on, and his numbers I don't think have changed since just a couple of hours ago. That's coming up in just a few seconds, and then we'll check in on the brutal cold air that's following all of this. That update worries me. It really, really does. With that said, let's check in with tonight's brief McGoffin Farm Bureau community calendar. First, it's not until February the 28th, but go ahead and put it on your calendar. Come out and support the McGoffin County Lady Hornets Saturday, February the 28th. They are going to be at the McGoffin County High School. Sports cards and TCG and collectibles will be there, hosted by Sagersville Sports Cards, all to support the Lady Hornets as well. There's going to be concessions, sprinkles, and swirls will be outside as well. This is 10 till 4, February the 28th at the McGoffin County High School. I'll remind you, as I want to remind you now, that warming centers are available. Call the non-emergency number of McGoffin County Dispatch, 349-4403, if you need warmth and shelter throughout Winter Storm Fern. The same goes for the Sagersville Fire Department. You don't have to call. They'll be open or available Saturday and Sunday during daytime hours, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Calendar's here whenever you need it. Free for birthdays and anniversaries and important announcements like those. Funeral service announcements tonight come with a reminder of services to be held Tuesday at 1 from the Lacey Valley Primitive Baptist Church in honor of 67-year-old Judy Marie Gamble Wheeler, who passed away on Monday, survived by her son Michael, daughter Wendy Stiltner, sister Wanda Hall, 2 grandkids, 4 step-grandkids, and a special godson. In addition to her parents, Judy is preceded in death by her husband Lindsay, 6 brothers, and 3 sisters. And services again will be Tuesday from the Lacey Valley Primitive Baptist Church. In lieu of flowers, the family has requested contributions be made to the Memorial Fund at the McGoffin County Funeral Home, who is in charge of arrangements.
There are buttons to button, snacks to prepare, math problems to help with, and boo-boos to kiss. If you have people who need you, you need life insurance. Talk to a Kentucky Farm Bureau agent about a policy that protects the ones you love.
SMB is proud to stand with you with what might be your very first and definitely last checking, savings, retirement, even Christmas Club account, along with consumer, auto, mortgage, business loans that you can easily manage from anywhere in the world with safe, secure mobile and online banking that comes from over 120 years of commitment to your financial life and well-being, today, tomorrow, and forever. Salyersville National.
Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. Big on commitment.
Starting off a new year, Parkway Pharmacy wants you to know that they have a lot to be proud of, thanks to you. Proud to be community partners. Proud to be good neighbors. Proud to be your pharmacy. Thank you from everyone at Parkway Pharmacy in Salyersville. Election season is here, and we are a one-stop sign and advertising shop. Campaign commercials for TV, for the internet, print advertising in 2 publications, yard signs, bumper stickers, business cards, shirts, caps, banners, all in-house, all premium quality, all local, with no minimums to purchase. Call Independent Signs and Mortimer Media Group today, 349-2915.
Youth, experience, modern solutions to modern problems, proven solutions to legal problems, an emerging face in the courtroom, a known presence in the courtroom. Together, we are multifaceted. Together, we will do right by you. If you are having any legal issues at all, just relax and call Max. If a car wreck is causing you pain, just pick up the phone and call Donald Wayne.
It comes as no surprise that the state of Kentucky has declared a state of emergency, as have many, if not most, Kentucky counties at this time, including Magoffin and Johnson. This comes as we have been well aware for days. You don't often have, I hate to use the word luxury, but this much of a forecast beforehand to know that something serious is coming weather-wise. Well, we've known, and it's just continued to grow, and of course with that, time has told us just exactly, or not exactly, but in a better focus, what we might be seeing before the end of your weekend. So I turned to the newly hired Public Relations and Marketing Director for the Kentucky Educational Development Corporation, Jimmy Neal Caldwell, who of course retired after 2.5 decades or so of forecasting the weather and being a servant to the community in that capacity, and just much more than our community as well, but the state at large. I asked him tonight a very important question as we would get started and wrap it up with, of course, his thoughts on the weekend and Winter Storm Fern. You know, and obviously there's one big burning question that's on everyone's mind, so let's just go ahead and start there. I hear you're running for city council?
I thought we were going somewhere else. I am. I'm running for city commission up here in Winchester. Yeah, there's 11 of us, and I just want to be in the top 8 to get through the primary.
Okay. Well, we'll go to the dark side stuff here in a minute, but yeah, I just want to catch up with you. So, what I think everyone. I've said it a long time. I think everyone should have to run for office at least one time in their life, just to have a real understanding of what the experience is like in real time and everything, So anybody who's willing to do it for the real reason, obviously, like you are, I'm sure, I applaud it, sir. So yeah, congratulations. What pushed you there?
Well, we live in such a unique community where we're right there at the end of the Mountain Parkway. We are along Interstate 64. And we are the first place that people see when they come from the mountains, okay? Right before you get to Lexington, if you're coming on the Parkway, of course. And it was an opportunity for me to try to push growth in the city of Winchester, because we've got everything in the world. We've got great things, but I think what we need is a fresh approach to push forward, because what I've done in my career, Red, is I have watched through media, through the news, because I've watched all these other cities through the years. I've watched what they've tried to do and they've failed. And you watch it over and over and over again. And you're like, I wish I could be there. I wish I could help them, because sometimes people aren't accepting of change, and change is a part of life. And that was the biggest thing, the biggest driver for me was to try to get in on that level. It's nonpartisan race. I don't want anybody to know my political affiliation yet, even though they're all asking me about all those questions. They're saying, well, what's your stance on abortion? Well, I can't do anything with that at the city council, but I can make sure those potholes are repaired. And then that's been my response on that. And my response to, maybe recruit new business to our area. I can't do anything in Washington, D.C. I need some funding from them, but there's not much I can do at that level, So this is how I wanted to start. And, maybe it leads into something else. If I can win, I got to win first. And if I can win, who knows what's next.
Okay. Well, I hope it goes well, and I applaud you again for doing it, and I think you'd be the right man for the job, most certainly. How's the job? You don't have to go into a whole lot of detail, but, I think everybody in Kentucky knows that you've got a new job now. How's it going?
It is a breath of fresh air. I did TV for 25 years and loved every minute of it. It was fun. It was great. But, the industry has changed, and this was an opportunity for me to get out before I was forced out. Now, nobody's ever said anything like that to me, Red. Nobody's ever said that, but sometimes they target the people who are paid a little more, when they're doing budget cuts, and they'll get rid of those first, and that was me, and I was one of those people, and I was one of those people that've been around a long time, so I had an incredible amount of time off and all those things. So again, nobody said anything to me, but I watched these other companies, these large media companies, and I've watched them consolidate. Like some of the other big companies across the country, what they've done is that they're starting to consolidate their news, and they're running it in one place. For example, in Pennsylvania, you can get some of the more rural communities, but it's all coming out of one base that's like out of Pittsburgh, like in a little it's not really a side room, but they do news out of that other facility, that other area. So what we end up seeing is a product where you don't need as many people anymore. So I just got out with it. This was an opportunity. It landed in my lap. And I'm able to promote education. I'm able to work with educators. I'm able to educate the people and tell all of the folks out there, one of the biggest things we do is we help you get grants. We help educators get grants. We help them with their rank. If they want to continue on, we have a very good program that we can do that with. So I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm directly helping people. Now, for years, I would talk people through storms. That's one thing. But now I am talking to them directly, and I'm saying, here's what we've got. Let me show you what we can do for you. And these people, so far, their reception has been like, oh, I didn't know we could have this. And we're rolling out and helping to roll out technology. We've got what we call the AI bus. It's about $500,000 plus that we take to schools when they ask. We take it, we set it up for a week. We give these kids an experience that they've never had before, and what the school district itself can't afford, usually. Or maybe they can't, even if they do get grant money, they can't just focus on that. Well, we were able to, because it was a technology-based grant, and we were able to put this bus together, and we take a robot, we take a little robot that might one day do some of our jobs, but we take a little robot out there. We take technology on the road. We've got a big weather sphere, and what I mean by that is we've got a globe that's it's at least 4 feet tall, and I can't remember how big around it is, but it's a complete globe, and we have live weather feeds on it all the time. That's one thing. But we can do other things with it too, and you can use it as an immersive technology. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. This organization does so much for education on every level, continuing education, technology related, whatever the case may be. And again, I get to see it firsthand. Again, storms, we would warn people, and you might hear from some of them, But this way, I'm really seeing it. I'm like, oh, I was at Mijas in Tigersville the other day, and a lady walked up to me. Well, I won't say her name because I don't want to throw her under the bus. But she walked up and she said, "You don't know this, but because of your organization, I have a job again for 7 more years because it's a grant-based job she had in the school system." And she said, "So I'm secured for 7 more years with this job." And that meant so much to me, even though I had nothing to do with that grant. It was a grant they got before I got there. But the fact that I knew somebody that was directly affected and it helped their lives improve and it helped her family, that meant the world to me.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That is awesome. It really is. I mean, I'm happy for you. Happiness means the world, no matter what you're doing. It's a lot easier to get through when you're enjoying what you're doing. Not that you didn't enjoy doing the weather. Speaking of which, so let me ask you something. I got 2 just non-storm related questions necessarily. I just watch trends of the National Weather Service. I listen to you guys when it's bad, because that's obviously what I do here. But is there any geographic or atmospheric reason? I mean, whenever, it doesn't matter if it's a snowstorm or rainstorm, McGoffin County, if you start looking at maps, whatever's coming through, we're always cut in half, north to south. It's like for example, right now most models are showing that there's going to be a gradient, and it's northern part of McGoffin County could, showing if those things are accurate. But it seems like by and large we're always kind of cut right down the middle. There's an imaginary line that seems to go right through McGoffin and Johnson County sometimes that is showing like where that divider is between one extreme or one level and another. And it seems like is that just me, or am I,
No, you're not wrong. So what happens in McGoffin, and when you look at it on a topographical map, you can see on the southern side of the county, the mountains get a little higher, they get a little taller. You get up the river and you get those places like that, and it's a little more intense. So, and that continues on through Knott County, Perry County, down to Letcher, right there along the Appalachian Mountain chain, where they're highest when you get down there in Harlan and Letcher counties. So, no, you're actually kind of right there, because when you get to a higher elevation, it changes the weather. Just think about when you fly on a plane, Red, and you watch the temperature. If you've flown on a flight here recently, you look at the monitor in front of you and it says the temperature outside is 6 degrees, or whatever it is at that level. Well, it gets colder the higher up you go. And so with it getting colder, even at just a few hundred feet and a couple thousand feet, it does make a difference. So it might be snowing on top of one of the mountains there long before it ever does, even down in a low spot like Tigersville, So it does have a factor because of that elevation change. So that's the big key issue that we always face out there. When I was forecasting weather for the high spots, like, the 4 to almost 5,000 feet, it's not quite, but 4 to 5,000 feet down there in Carlin County, Black Mountain, they always got a lot more with most of these events. It might be raining in, like, for example, downtown Harlem, but it was pouring snow up there. There was a storm a few years ago where when I lived in Hazard, so it's been more than a few years ago, we had about 6 inches of snow, but on Black Mountain, they had about 1.5 feet. Well, that's quite a bit more. That doubles and then some. And they were even talking, they had some snow drifts that time that were up to 3 feet tall. So it matters. That elevation change matters drastically and dramatically all across the mountains.
I never thought just a few hundred feet would be that significant. I mean, certainly Black Mountain, you get up there, that all is obvious. I never would have imagined that it was. It just seems to be the case more often than not. It's just we're being split right in the middle, and kind of like what we're seeing now on some of the models. Do you think? Last question before we dive in. You mentioned AI a second ago. Do you think it or anything else is going to advance to where predicting the weather is going to be more accurate someday than what it is now? I mean, is there a possibility of it someday, somehow, something being developed to where it's going to take some more of the guess out of it?
It's certainly it's helped. There are a lot of the models that we have out now that we've had traditionally, okay, but now they have this AI brain, okay, unlike what they had before. Now they have an AI brain in some of them. Like, when you look on TV or you look on social media, you're going to see people talking, and me even, talking about like the GFS or the European model or this or that. Well, they now have AI-based ones that, again, have this self-sustaining brain that recognizes, like a person would, recognizes patterns and pattern changes more so than what some of the traditional data would do. And that would help with, so far, Rhett, they're not 100%. But the thing with AI is it learns, just like a human, learns every day. It learns a little more. So I think it will help. I still think that the people element and in forecasting and warning and all that is still going to be needed, but it's getting close. I mean, it's getting close to really, really helping us. We're not quite to that scene in Back to the Future Part 2 when Doc Brown says, wait a minute. And then he looks at his watch and says, oh, it's going to stop ringing in 2:30 seconds or whatever he says, and then it stops. I don't think we're to that point yet, but I think it's a push in the right direction, because that's all this model and all this particular AI brain will think about is snow or rain or whatever, and it can see it and think about it in ways that we can't.
Yeah, understood. Okay, so it is, you and I are talking, it is what? It is 3 o'clock? Yeah, almost exactly. So what's the latest here then? What's your gut telling you and everything that you have been looking at for the past 6 days or so? I feel like we've been knowing this was coming for a long time, so no excuses. But so what's the latest at this hour?
We really started digging in on it this past weekend, especially. We started hitting hard with it because it was just evident. And sometimes they hit like that, Brett, and sometimes they don't. And what happened was, like all of our longer range models were already showing it, and they're showing it consistently very close together with the same track. When you see that, and then you see it for a couple of days, you're like, oh, okay, this might really happen. And so far, as we've gone through the course of the last several days, it's continued to show up from the same spot or or maybe a little north or south, which is always the case, because the atmosphere around us is chaotic. You don't realize everything that's going on in the air around you, but there's a lot. There's a lot of pressure change. There's a lot of cold air. There's a lot of hot air. There's a lot of everything. But so one little teeny tiny thing can set it off. It's not truly the butterfly effect, but it's close. I know we've all heard that before. And a butterfly's wings fluttering over here, it doesn't cause a tropical storm or a typhoon in the Pacific. That's too micro scale. But there are things that go on around us. So what I think is going to happen with this setup is I believe that we end up with, in McGoffin County in particular, I think we'll end up with snow at first. That's going to be the thing. There's going to be a little warm surge of air that comes in. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be 50 degrees. I'm saying it's going to be warm enough to make anything that falls freezing rain, which is the worst. Out of all the precipitation you can get, freezing rain is the worst. It's the one that clings to the power lines. It's the one that clings to the tree branches. It's one that clings everywhere. You can't get into your car almost without a chisel. I mean that literally, because I have had to do that. I have had to chisel into my own vehicle. Living up here around Lexington, I've had to chisel into the car. So it causes that major issue that people can't break through. So you get a layer of ice like that on something, and it slows down everything. It slows down response because you can't get traction on ice. This is when you start talking about chained wheels and all that stuff, chains on your tires. So I think what'll happen first, we'll get a good dose of snow. We'll probably get a few inches out of it initially, maybe a good 3 to 6 initially in McGoffin. Then there'll be a transition of some of that ice or that freezing rain, which will cut back on the total a little bit. But the grand total, when it's all said and done, I think somewhere between 5 and 10 inches, with a 1/4 of an inch to maybe up to a 1/2 inch of ice on top of that. Now, a 1/2 inch of ice, I think I can't remember how many feet right off the top of my head, but it weighs like 300 to 500 pounds over so many feet. It causes a lot of problems. And that's what causes the power outages, and that's what causes all kinds of other issues. When I was a kid, when we had that blizzard of 93, you had a lot of heavy snow with that. The ice was really limited with it compared to some of the other events we've seen. But that weight is just tremendous because you got to remember that's all water that's just frozen sitting up there. So if anybody's ever picked up a bucket of water, they know how heavy it is. So it's the same thing, just in a different form.
Okay. Well, I know everyone's got, I've been watching it, and I think that by and large, I think that not everyone has the same opinion. Well, I guess like everything else, we'll wait and see. But yeah, so 3/4 of an inch of ice, I think, would be devastating for us, and hopefully it's going to be closer to that quarter. And that's the big concern, I think.
It is a big concern because not only are we going to go into this winter pattern, okay, that's one thing. That's going to shut down everything for a few days anyway. But then next week, with that kind of snow and ice on the ground, it will make it even colder. So there might be days next week, again, if you get the right amount of snow and ice, we might not get out of the teens for daytime highs next week. We could go well below zero at night. Well, what happens if I lose power? Well, that kind of situation right there is life-threatening. So that's when they crack open the community center there and open the warming center or wherever they do it. Maybe they do it at some of the schools, that are out in the county because it's hard to get around and travel will be hard and maybe impassable at times. So that's the kind of situation you get when you get this kind of system.
All right, well, we're 24 hours away, or no less, I guess, we'll see the start of it. I don't know. I hope everyone stays safe, and I want to thank you again for jumping on here with us. This was awesome. Appreciate you. Anytime, I'm going to leave this door open for you, Jim.
Well, I'm kind of retired from the other parts of TV, so I can freelance anywhere now. So
I'm gonna try to figure something out on that one. No, we'll try to maybe make you a regular in some form or fashion, and I can take a day off. Maybe you just come and sit in. Maybe that's what you need to do. There we go. That's the solution.
Excellent.
All right, my friend. I appreciate you, man.
All right, buddy. You have a good rest of your day.
All right. Thank you again, Jimmy Neal, and we look forward to seeing you again. All right. Let's go on to your 7-day and talk about, yes, the snow, the sleet, the freezing rain again, but it's the cold air that has really changed dramatically in the last 24 hours. So we're going to throw it all into one forecast here. Partly cloudy tonight, winds 4, 5, 6 miles per hour or so out of the west-northwest tonight with a low of 7 degrees. After hitting 39 today. It was decent enough to get out and really get some stuff done today, and a lot of folks were doing just that. But we only expect to see 19 tomorrow. Wind chill factors will be in the morning certainly, and maybe tomorrow evening, minus 3, 4, 5 degrees. We have very light winds to cause that. I mean, we're talking about winds out of the northeast, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 miles per hour. Fortunately, that's all the wind that we have, but still, it just doesn't take much to get from 14 or 19 down to single digits or even below. Snow likely tomorrow, I think afternoon for us. And the heavy stuff probably won't start till 3 or 4 o'clock, so you've got cold to deal with tomorrow, but you got a chance to get out and get some more things done if you can or need to. People, pets, pipes. The snow might start off a little bit slow, but it will pick up by Saturday evening, Saturday night, and then we're going to see snow possibly mixed with some freezing rain and sleet. That snow could be heavy at times, 1 inch an hour certainly possible. Temperatures as well, as after we hit 19, they're going to start falling to around 14 by about 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Then they're going to reverse and hit about 20 for the rest of the overnight. 3 to 7 inches perhaps Saturday night. Taking us into Sunday, where that is the warmest, man, that's a bad choice of words, day of the week. 33 degrees, rain, snow, freezing rain, mainly before 4, lingering thereafter. Another 1 to 2 inches of snowfall, ice accumulation. Could be 1/4 of an inch, could be 1/10, could be 1/4, could be approaching close to 1/2. Sunday night, snow on the back end of all of this, another 1 to 2 inches, possibly. Winds out of the northwest as well. And with that, we have 10 degrees. Those wind chills are going to be terrible. And Monday, as you saw, we had 19 and a -7 for real temperatures. Wind chills are going to be dangerous. 19 and -7 on your Monday. And look at that. There's the rest of your 7-day. 24 and 8 on Tuesday. 23 and 5 on Wednesday. We get some snow chances working their way back in. 18 and -3 next Thursday. 21 and 0 maybe on Friday. Keep in mind, these numbers have changed significantly. 24 hours ago, your Tuesday was at 28 and 11. Now it's 24 and 8. Wednesday was 31 and 11. Now it's 23 and 5. Thursday was 32 and 19. Now it's 18 and -3. Fingers crossed that we get some adjustments and some recalculations and they go back in the other direction. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for me tonight. I sincerely hope that when I see you Monday, we've had maybe on the high end 6-8 inches of lovely, fluffy white snow to get out maybe and enjoy if that's your thing, and nothing more. That would be a great scenario and outcome. 1/4 to 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of freezing rain or ice in there would certainly have or paint a different picture, and that's what we hope to avoid. So one way or the other, I hope to see you back here, safe and sound, warm and toasty, on Monday night. Thank you for watching, and be safe.